Good afternoon, everybody. Big Mike back here with you once again. Welcome back to Big Mike Talks, where today I'm going to be talking to you about the week that was in pro wrestling. So today, that's going to include NWA Power, AEW Dynamite, and TNA Wrestling. No Monday Night Raw this week because I was, out with people I like for Memorial Day. So, a salute to those who we've lost on that day. So, no Monday Night Raw. We then instead start with NWA Power. We start off with Tom Latimer, our national champion, taking on newcomer Jake Sterling. And, this match was a interesting little back and forth matchup, although eventually Tom Latimer did pick up the win after a nasty DDT and the brighter side of suffering. And then finishing up with a force-fed trauma, the STF, for the submission victory. Latimer is a hell of a national champion. I can't wait to see who he faces down the line. Post-match, we got an outside the ring interview from Tom Latimer, calling Jake ain't no joke. He's a champion. No disrespect. You're a monster. You're not me. And the Crockett Cup, I'm going to walk out as champion. So, talking about a future challenger. We'll see where that goes. Then we get a ringside interview with the Kids and the Savages of Samoa. So, I gotta tell you, I don't like these types of interviews because it's kind of cluttered and all over the place. We start with the Kids, who say, we started in NWA imposing our will on the Immortals, and the truth is, we are the truth. It doesn't matter who we talk on here, we're going to take the cup. The Savages are here in the NWA. So, some nice short and sweet interview segment that really needs a little bit of restructuring, I think. And then we go right into the Crockett Cup round 1 as Talos and Daisy Kill, former United States Tag Team Champions, take on the Stu Crew, the newest members of the roster, on loan from JCP, which is a new territory for the NWA. And this match was awesome. It started out with Daisy Kill kind of in control. Stu Crew have a lot of charisma, and they are very, very good in the ring. They kind of remind me of Charlie Haas and Shelton Benjamin. They're that athletic, and they're that really good. But then Talos comes in, hits his big man moves, including a big old double chokeslam to both Stu Crew members. And your winners, Daisy Kill and Talos. This was a very entertaining bout. Can't wait to see more from the former United States Tag Team Champions. We then go to a Daisy Kill and Talos interview. Interviewer asking about Vampiro. Stu Crew brought it tonight. And we revealed that we're under the learning tree of Vampiro. So it looks like Daisy Kill and Talos are under the guidance of Vampiro, which that's an interesting combination. Gonna wonder what happened to Bestia and Mecha Wolf, because I really like those two. We then get another double interview, and it's this time Tiffany Nieves, Reka Tahaka, Joe Alonzo, and then the owner / booker, William Patrick Corgan, which that's a surprise. Let's start off with Joe Alonzo saying that Alex Taylor is leading on his group, the Southern Six. So how about instead of a match, considering you don't want to see your champion get hurt, we have a Joe Alonzo celebration next week. William Patrick Corgan replies, alright, give me a second. So first off, Tiffany Nieves, Reka Tahaka, you're going to be competing in a number one contenders match for the Women's Tag Team Champions next week. Then Tiffany replies, that's exactly where we should be. I'm the hottest wrestler here. We're getting our rematch. And no matter the winners, we're taking the Queen Bees later that night. Then William Patrick Corgan turns back to Joe Alonzo. He says, look, you are a champion, and I must respect you for that. But you whine, you cry, you complain. So instead of the celebration you want, you're going to face Alex Taylor for the junior heavyweight title at the Crockett Cup. And while I don't love the Southern Six, you ought to know when you take on one of them, you take on all of them. And it's time for you to prove how tough you really are. Joe Alonzo replies, William, I'm a 10-year veteran. William Patrick Corgan replies, before I signed you to NWA, I didn't even know who the hell you were. You couldn't even sell out a bingo hall. Ooh. And I'm going to take care of you later. We then go to this weird Cooking with Carson segment, in which it's newcomer Carson Drake, and he's doing a cooking segment with Austin Idol, Zion, and I want to say that was Miss Starr and her assistant. I'm not really sure. And Carson Drake was being really misogynistic. Like, that was very uncomfortable. I don't need to see more of that. Please, it's 2024. We don't need that in our pro wrestling programs. We then go to our next matchup, as it's the Southern Six. That's Kerry Morton, and it's revealed to be Silas Mason take on the Slime Balls. And, almost immediately, Sage gets in, takes it to Kerry Morton, who then automatically tags out to Silas Mason, beats up the little version, Sage, for a while, who then tags in his big guy. They kind of go back and forth for a minute. Eventually, Kerry Morton grabs Sage, throws him into Thrillbilly, who hits the Thrill Ride for the victory. I do wish this match went a little bit longer, because I think the Slime Balls could be something. But I'm more than okay with the Southern Six picking up the win. Then we get a Southern Six interview with Alex Taylor coming in, who pretty much says, look, I got something on my mind, and nothing I despise more than a liar. And Joe, that's you. You're holding a belt saying you're the best junior heavyweight, and then when I take that belt and the Southern Six win the Crockett Cup, we're going to light up Texas like the 4th of July. So that's going to be an interesting little thing that might happen. Then we get a backstage Jack Stain interview, who's giving us an update about Tim Storm, who is they're recapping what happened last week at the Crockett Cup, where Tim Storm had the claw on for too long and got the team disqualified. Well, Storm is so hurt, he has a condition where he's not really sure who he is. He thinks he's Baron von Storm. Uh-oh. Not Tim anymore. In his mind, he feels he's Baron von Storm. And to help with the healing process, I was told to play along. So Tim Storm getting a gimmick change. I don't even think he was hit in the head, but I'm willing to see where this goes. Baron von Storm. Yeah, I guess. God, I hope it's not Baron von Raschke impersonation. We don't need that stuff in 2024. And then we go to our main event of NWA Power, and it's for the television title, the men's one, as Magic Jake Damas challenges Max the Impaler. Now Max, who is non-binary, holds both the men's and the women's television titles. And so they are defending their men's title against Magic Jake. Just so you know what's going on. And yeah, Jake tries his best to get the advantage early on Max, but they fight back, eventually hitting a big old spear. With Magic Jake hitting a neck breaker, but then the Sinister Minister gets up on the apron, distracts Jake, which leads to a big old lariat from Max the Impaler to pick up the win and retain their title. Decently paced match. I feel like it was rushed a little bit, but ultimately, I'm willing to see where Max the Impaler goes from here. So that was NWA Power. Very kind of mixed bag episode this week. Hopefully we get a little back on track next week. And speaking of back on track, we now move on to AEW Dynamite. We start off with the TBS champion Mercedes Moné in a promo, pretty much saying, "Was I worth the wait? I told you all along, Moné changes everything." And while we were all celebrating 5 glorious years of AEW, we are also celebrating the in-ring return of the greatest of all time. In a Double or Nothing, Willow and I, we tore the house down. But Willow, you're just way too nice. And I knew that Statlander and Stokely were going to screw you over. And I hope when you're 100% and can come back, you kick their asses. So now I got a big target at my back with this title. We're 4 weeks from Forbidden Door, but before she can continue, Sky Blue pops up on the big screen, and she shows that it was herself that attacked Mercedes like maybe a month ago. I don't know, that was weird, during an interview. Then Sky Blue finally speaks and says, "You think Julia and I are done? We're just getting started." And then while Mercedes is looking up at the big screen, in comes Sky Blue from behind and just attacks Moné. And yeah, that was really wild. We then see in the parking lot the Elite arriving in their many vehicles, with Young Bucks and Okada arriving in their Tesla truck, I think it was. Or maybe they had a sports car. And then Jack Perry arriving in the Scapegoat bus, which that looks straight at Mad Max. I love that. We then move into our first matchup of the evening, as it's the AEW World Champion Swerve Strickland taking on the patriarchy's resident monster, Killswitch, aka Luchasaurus. And I'm gonna say this match was very, very underrated. Swerve showing why he deserves to be champion. And Killswitch really, at least for a little bit, struggled to keep up. But eventually he did keep up. Swerve hitting a house call, then a Swerve stomp, only for a 2 count, which got the heck out of me. But then Swerve puts it away with the house call for the win. And post-match, we see Prince Nana, who is Swerve's manager, give Swerve something. It's a pair of scissors. So he goes, picks Killswitch up, snips a lock of his hair, and ultimately takes it on as a trophy. That's some payback, considering Killswitch ripped a hair out of Swerve's head not long ago. So, yeah, I guess a little bit of payback. So then we go to break, come back. Tony Schiavone has a microphone and is saying to the camera that Tony Khan has announced a match for tonight, as Mercedes Moné is putting her TBS title on the line against Sky Blue. And holy cow, that is a big old announcement. I cannot wait for that. We then get a backstage promo from Jon Moxley in which... Can I ask Jon Moxley something? Can we slow down a little bit? Mox is definitely a little bit of a motor mouth, which, I definitely am too. We need to see him take his time a little bit more. Anyway, pretty much says, I've drew colors with the most dangerous men in the business, and tonight's match is a bad idea, especially when I'm not 100%. But it's what champions do. Going everywhere. And I've been 5 years on top of AEW and wherever the heck else I've been. So he's got a big old match with Rocky and Romero in a little bit. We'll get to that one. But first, we gotta get through this slog, as it's TV time with Big Bill and Chris Jericho. God damn, this reminded me of the old highlight reel segments with Jericho, except it was way downgraded. If you remember those. Basically, he pretty much goes over all of his accomplishments. Says, thank you for making my shirt the number one on Shop AEW. Thanks to my many branches for your support as champion. I retained the For the World title. And Hook, Shibata, they are tough. But many called, and only a few answered. And the man that answered this past Sunday was Bounty Hunter Brian Keith. Chris Jericho brings out Brian Keith, and he's wearing like a button down, which looks very weird on Brian Keith. And then Brian pretty much says, there's a clear lack of respect here in AEW for you, Chris. I can't believe more people didn't jump at this opportunity. Jericho, then a chant for Jericho to shut the up. Brian Keith then continues, this is exactly what I'm talking about. Show some respect, god dang it. And then Jericho kind of covers Brian Keith's microphone. He's saying, Brian, this isn't a yelling moment, this is a teaching moment. And you know what they say about bad apples? They don't fall far from the learning tree. Then out comes Hook. Jericho and his goons look ready to beat him down. Then Samoa Joe's music plays. And he comes out from like the crowd, I guess. He puts a hand on Hook's chest, whispers something in his ear. So then I guess that diffuses Hook. They both walk out together. Yeah, that's going to be very, very interesting. To see where this Hook Samoa Joe thing goes. And I just hope they beat the Learning Tree. I need a break from Chris Jericho. Anyway, then we get something very, very interesting. A Stephanie Vaquero, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, highlight package. Hyping her up for something a little later. Now, if you don't know who that is, and yeah, I'm in a similar boat. Apparently she is a CMLL champion as well as holding a title for New Japan, which that is absolutely crazy. I've never seen a match of hers, but I am very, very excited to learn and to watch her. So next up, we got the New Japan Pro Wrestling World Heavyweight Title Eliminator match, where we have champion Jon Moxley taking on Rocky Romero. And this match was very, very good, with Rocky targeting Moxley's injured arm a bunch of times, including a nasty looking armbar. One point Mox gets Rocky Romero in the Bulldog choke, but he gets out of it. Moxley then fights right back. Rocky Romero with a flying armbar, which I don't think I've ever seen that. That's insane. Moxley slips out, gives Rocky Romero some stomps. And Mox wins with the Death Rider. So, yeah, nice little matchup for Moxley and Rocky Romero. I'm wondering who from New Japan is going to be challenging Mox at Forbidden Door. I guess we'll see. Then we get a backstage Samoa Joe and Hook interview, with Samoa Joe pretty much taking the lead, saying, look, we learned what not to do against the Learning Tree and Chris Jericho. We're not going to exist on our time, on their time. We're going to exist on our own time. And then they just walk off. We then get a Don Callis in-ring promo, in which he's trying to... he has an open contract for somebody to join the Don Callis family. Introduces Orange Cassidy. He comes out. Don Callis hyping it up. Then Cassidy grabs the contract, takes like one look at it, rips it down the middle. Looks like he has Don Callis right where he wants him. And then out comes Stokely Hathaway and Chris Statlander, which that's weird. With Statlander calling Orange Cassidy just like Willow. And I'd like to introduce one of my best friends to the Don Callis family. We then got to behind Orange Cassidy. It's Trent Beretta who attacks Orange Cassidy from behind. We then get a little Don Callis, Trent Beretta stare down. And then they go for the best friend hug, with Trent Beretta kind of standing on Orange Cassidy. Trent Beretta and then Don get some shots off on Cassidy after a while. And then they walk off. So, Orange Cassidy definitely is going up against an army at this point. Is this where we'll see blood and guts? Perhaps. Who knows? I guess we'll see. We then get a Daniel Garcia Matt Menard interview backstage. with Daniel Garcia saying, look, AEW is full of dang killers, so I feel like I don't fit in anymore. But I'm going to say this with so much confidence. Will Ospreay, I'm going to be taking that international title. So Daniel Garcia having a clear target. That's great. Let's use this. We then now go to the TBS title match as Sky Blue challenges Mercedes Moné. And this match, oh boy, this match delivered. They went absolutely back and forth, tit for tat, move for move. At one point, Sky Blue goes for Code Blue. Mercedes blocks it, hits a, I'm going to call it a Moné shot, because that's what I thought I heard. It's pretty much a code breaker from Moné to pick up the victory. Who comes out on the stage? It's Stephanie Vaquer. And it looks like we have our challenge for Forbidden Door, in which, yes please. We then go backstage. It looks like Renee Paquette is trying to get an update from Orange Cassidy. Then Stokely Hathaway and Chris Statlander interrupt. They take Renee's microphone. With Chris Statlander saying, look, when we were in that match together, my best friend Willow wanted that title, but you didn't listen. When you return from injury, I'm talking about the men, but I'm doing something for myself, and if I get booed, I don't care. Don't blame them. I'm done being everyone's protector. Now everyone needs protection from me. Oh, interesting. I like this new side of Statlander. She needed to do something a little bit more different. So, yeah, we'll see where this goes. We then go to an MJF hype video package, hyping up his return, which apparently is going to be next week. So, we'll see what happens there. Then we get a promo from the Elite, in which there was a chant that started. Apparently it was a CM Punk chant, but Okada turned to the crowd, said, "Shut up, bitches." Okada, man of few words, but I love him. Then Matthew takes the microphone, pretty much says, first things first, the Elite run this shit. Tony Khan and Omega brought their dream team to Double or Nothing. The Elite still won. It was Jack Perry's first match in 9 months, and he pinned Bryan Danielson. It's been a fantastic week for the Elite. Sunday's performance was unbelievable, and I have a few little gifts for you guys. So first, Okada, your gift shows a brand new blacked out Lambo in the parking garage, with Okada obviously overreacting. And then when that ends, he kind of goes straight face again. Oh, that's funny. Now on to business. At Double or Nothing during the TNT title match, Copeland injured his leg. We wish, and then backstage, while I was at Gorilla, I wished Adam to break a leg. Oof. I think I jinxed you, Adam. Sorry. Hope you come back stronger. But as as EVPs, we need to make the tough decisions. Copeland, you've been stripped of the TNT title, so we need a new champion, and I know just the guy. Your new TNT champion, Jack Perry. Now, they didn't have the physical title with them. I don't know if Copeland took that with him, but, yeah, I kind of saw that coming. However, I didn't see this next part coming, because out comes Christopher Daniels, who got fired by the Elite a couple weeks ago. He's saying, look, I don't know how you guys do it here in the Elite, but with Tony Khan's blessing, I am now the new intern EVP, and we have a new announcement from Tony Khan. We're not just going to give away the TNT title. Jack, you want to be champion? You got to earn it. So starting next week, we're going to have a number of qualifying matches for the TNT title ladder match at Forbidden Door. And our first qualifier comes on Friday. So that's going to be later today. So that should absolutely be fun. So the Elite get out of the ring. It looks like they're going to attack Daniels. Out comes as backup Max Caster, Anthony Bowens, and Billy Gunn, the Acclaimed. And they have a stare down with the Elite. The Acclaimed versus the Elite. Honestly, this could be a decent way to rebuild the Acclaimed after a while. Then we go backstage to a Swerve Strickland promo. He's saying, coming off Double or Nothing, I took down another legend. I got Kill Switch back for him giving me a haircut. But now I'm focused on Forbidden Door. I'm curious on who my next challenger is. May the best man win. So, later on in the evening, for the main event, it's going to be a Casino Gauntlet match. I'll explain the rules a little later. We're going to see where that goes. We then go to a Roosh promo. It's been a while. He says, congratulations. You start here at the back of the line. Just remember, if you mess with the bull, you get the horns. I think he was talking to Bryan Danielson, which, yeah, let's do that. We then go to our main event of AEW Dynamite, and it's the Forbidden Door Casino Gauntlet match. Now, how this works. We start off with two competitors, with new ones coming in at timed intervals. But instead of a Royal Rumble style, where it's over the top rope, last man standing, the first person to get a pinfall or submission wins the match. And it could happen at any time. They did this one once before Double or Nothing. I think it was for the international title, which, yeah, I like this. And there were some really nice surprises. So let's get into this as we start off with 1/3 of the Trios champions, Switchblade Jay White, as he starts off against the Bastard Pac, 1/3 of Death Triangle, who faced Jay White and the Guns on Sunday. And this was just a war to start. Like, really, really nice back and forth from each guy. Then we got the countdown. Next man in, from CMLL, it's Mystico, and he went to work right away, including a bunch of super kicks across body. Man in number 4, it's the international champion himself, and the man who won the last Casino Gauntlet match, Will Ospreay. We had a stare down between Ospreay and Mystico, and it was just insanity, including a little bit of a failed attempt at La Mystica, but that gets broken up right away. Next man in, it's New Japan Pro Wrestling's Shota Umino, a former young boy of Jon Moxley. So he's back in AEW, and he just starts whooping on everybody. Like, really, really good back and forth, including a nasty-looking DDT. Next man in, AEW's own Claudio Castagnoli, and he just starts going off including a giant swing on Jay White, which that was nuts. As that's going on, next man in, who had a little time in AEW, has now gone to New Japan. It's Lio Rush, who definitely glad to see him coming out. He does his thing for a little bit. A little back and forth with Claudio. Next man in is actually kind of a big surprise because he came out with bandages around his head, a little bit of a sling. It's Orange Cassidy. And at first he tries for his usual stuff. That gets countered by Claudio, who tries for a roll-up. Eventually, Orange hits a stunner into a DDT. Will Ospreay goes for the hidden blade, but that gets ducked. Jay White then with a suplex and a Uranagi goes for the Blade Runner. That gets countered. Then in next is Hechicero, who I hope I'm pronouncing that right. He did spend a little time in AEW, but he's mostly a CMLL guy. And he showed out. Like, dang, this was a really, really good matchup. Shota Umino attempted a paradigm shift. That gets blocked. Cassidy with the orange punch. Jay White with a roll-up, only for a 2. Hitting a super kick. Blocking a Blade Runner. But then as Pac is on the top rope, getting ready for a Black Arrow, Juice Robinson comes out, pushes Pac off the top rope, and then scurries back to the back. Cassidy misses on an orange punch. Will Ospreay gets countered on a Stormbreaker. He hits a Rana, only for a 2 count. Hits an Oscutter for the win. And post-match, out comes the world champion Swerve Strickland. We're getting Will Ospreay versus Swerve Strickland at Forbidden Door. Like, what? I honestly thought that was going to be the big main event for All In at Wembley. I'm more than happy to see this out here at UBS. That is absolutely insane. Can't wait to see that match. Yeah, we'll see where this goes. This is going to be absolutely insane. So that was AEW Dynamite. We then finish up on TNA Wrestling, as we have the ABC maybe not imploding, but trying to work some stuff out, as it's Ace Austin versus Chris Bay. And good lord, even as opponents, these two rule together. Really, really good back and forth. Everyone hitting their biggest move as possible. Near the end, Ace Austin tries for a fold. Chris Bay ducks it, hits a cutter, tries for an Art of Finesse, that gets blocked. Roll up by Ace Austin, that only gets a 2 count. Roll up by Chris Bay, that gives you the winner, Chris Bay. And obviously we have a frustrated Ace Austin in the ring. Chris Bay then extends his hand post-match. Ace reluctantly shakes it. They embrace for a little while. Then it looks like as Bay is trying to leave the ring, it almost looked like Ace Austin was going to attack him. Then Ace holds down the ring ropes for Bay. Bay walks halfway through. Bay holds it for Ace Austin, and they both leave together. There's definitely going to be a breakup of the ABC. As much as I don't want to see it. As much as these two are like my favorite tag team going right now, maybe a breakup isn't such a bad idea. I don't know. We'll see. We then have this little gem of a matchup, as it's Steph DeLander taking on Zaya Brookside. And Brookside is definitely super underrated, as is Steph DeLander, honestly. this match was super, super good at the start. But then, like halfway through, Steptoe goes out of the ring, tries to grab a chair from from underneath it, pulls out. On the other end of the chair is PCO. He gets up. Xia Brookside tries a dive on both of them. She gets caught by PCO, who puts her right in the ring. Steptoe and PCO are talking for a little bit. PCO then grabs Step, pushes her right back in the ring. And as she's distracted, Xia Brookside with the roll-up victory. So then Xia Brookside leaves the ringside area. PCO gets in the ring with Steptoe. They talk for a minute. Then PCO puts his finger to Steptoe's lips, rummages in his coat pocket, takes out like a napkin with Steptoe's initials in a heart in him. And PCO gives it to Steptoe, who, like, she's looking a little reluctant, but she accepts it. And yeah, that was an interesting segment, to say the least. But yeah, let's see where that one goes. We then get highlights from Jordynne Grace's debut in NXT. And no, she's not going anywhere. But she is going to have a match on Tuesday on NXT. And then she's going to take on Roxanne Perez for the NXT Women's Championship at the next PLE. I'm going to say this. I haven't seen NXT since they rebranded to 2.0. This gets me excited for that. Like, maybe I tune in for the first time in a while. I don't know. I'm still kind of on the fence. We then cut to a backstage promo from Laredo Kid, who's thanking all the people for their support. Then in come Rich Swann and AJ Francis of First Class, with First Class saying pretty much, look, we've been scouting the champions for that big challenge match a few weeks ago. And it's clear next week you're going to be defending your title against me. And as Kid looks to fight back, talk back a little bit, First Class pretty much takes out Laredo Kid. So we got a digital media title match next week on I think it's like the 20th anniversary of Impact, which, that's pretty cool. We then see Khan. He's backstage. He's looking for Santino. He runs into Jake something. He's saying, look, what do you want? Do something about it. So they get in a little stare down. Cody Deaner comes in, kind of breaks them up, pretty much saying, look, now's not the time or place. Jake something then chimes in, why don't we just settle this next week? Then Khan goes to Jake something, says, look, man, you need to stop listening to Deaner. I listened to Deaner for a bit, but now I stopped. Looking at me now. Then Jake something turns to Cody Deaner, says, I appreciate you. Stay out of my business next week. So, yeah, little dissension in the ranks with the cousins. We'll see if Jake something fully turns in the near future. Maybe he teams up with Khan and they become a monster tag team. I don't know. I guess we'll see. Next up, we get a very weird but also kind of intriguing match as Sami Callihan takes on Jonathan Gresham. Now, Gresham, of course, has his new ink gimmick in which he spits it up, gets it on someone, and they become sick. I don't know what that's going to mean, but I guess we'll see in the future. At multiple points, Gresham tries biting Sami Callihan. They eventually go on the outside and just start beating the snot out of each other. including multiple headfirsts into the ring post, which that looked nasty. Sami Callihan with a cactus driver on the apron. That only gets a 2 count. Then Gresham has Sami Callihan down, goes for the claw, almost spits up, but Callihan covers his mouth, spits into his hand instead. And with Sami Callihan looking to the ref saying, "What's going on here? What is this?" Gresham with a low blow, a roll up, and your winner, Jonathan Gresham. This was a neat little match. Was it the best match of the night? Absolutely not. However, this kind of extends the lore of Jonathan Gresham and what he's willing to do to win. And honestly, that's kind of neat. It's something Gresham has needed for a little while, at least in my opinion. Then we go to an interesting little sit-down interview with Gail Kim interviewing Giselle Shaw, pretty much asking Shaw about her journey, about the last time at No Surrender, where I lost my title shot, and that I needed some time off. Gail Kim asks, "But then why did you come back?" "Because you asked me to. Also, I always wanted to come back. But it's been hard to find where to start off because I'm essentially starting off new." Gail Kim then asks, "Okay, what are you fighting for?" "And I can't tell you that. You need to find that out for yourself. You don't need to be the quintessential diva. You're a TNA knockout. And starting next week, you're going to prove why you belong." And Shaw's like, "Okay, let's do it." So it looks like we're getting Giselle Shaw being mentored by Gail Kim. That could be a nice little little manager pupil thing going on there. We then cut backstage where we see the System. They're kind of talking with one another. In comes the interviewer, where Eddie Edwards pretty much say, "Look, I'm not worried about Joe Hendry tonight. We got bigger fish to fry coming up. Joe Hendry is nothing more than a birthday clown." And the System are asked about Matt Hardy, with Moose saying, "This isn't a System problem. This is a Moose problem." Then Eddie finishes up, "It's time to teach Joe Hendry why you must always trust the System." Then as the System walks off, in comes Frankie Kazarian asking the interviewer, "Who am I?" Interviewer asks, "You're Frankie Kazarian." Kaz then says, "Yeah, I know my own name. But what is my title? What do I call myself?" "The King of TNA." Then Kaz asks, "Alright, how hard was that?" And just walks off. I like this new attitude with Kaz. I do hope it goes somewhere, because I think he deserves a little bit more spotlight, because Kaz is so damn good. Speaking of so damn good, we now get a rematch from the last pay-per-view as Steve Maclin takes on Mike Santana. This is Santana's, I think it's his second TNA Impact matchup. And this match, oh boy, I think it was a lot better than the first. Although the first wasn't bad either. This one was just... It's hard to explain what it is. But at one point, you did have Maclin hit the crosshairs. Kind of hit a weird version of Mayhem for All, but only for a 2 count. Santana fights back, including a couple of super kicks. Maclin then with a Scud missile gets Santana back in, and as he's about to pin him, out comes Trey Miguel and Zachary Wentz of the Rascals. They attack both members of the match. Match gets thrown out. And the attack continues for a bit until officials break it up. Normally, I would not be okay with this long finish. However, I think this makes sense. With the Rascals kind of acting alone, kind of having beef with both these guys. I think this does make a lot of sense, and who knows, maybe we get a Mike Santana, Steve Macklin team, which, that would be interesting. Then we get a Spitfire backstage promo saying, with Jody Threat pretty much saying, look, I had the opportunity, I didn't take it. First rule in a fight, there is no fair fight. So next week, Danny Luna, you got Tasha Steele. I'm going to learn from your mistakes. This isn't for me. This is for Spitfire. So, looks like Spitfire's trying to get back on the same page and get their tag titles back. We then see Mustafa Ali. He's trying to do his little promo. Leon Slater then comes in, pretty much says, look, you obviously need all of your gaff to beat anybody. So why don't we have a match later on? Then Campaign Singh, the former Champagne Singh, says, okay, see you later. And then Ali turns to Singh, pretty much says, look, what have we talked about stuff like this? Let me know this stuff first. And then we go to our next matchup, Mustafa Ali versus Liam Slater. This match was awesome. This was pretty much X Division's at its absolute best. Bunch of really good back and forth, including a stage dive from Slater off of the stage onto Ali ringside. Ali tries for his 450, misses. Slater goes for a powerbomb, I guess. That gets countered. Slater tries for a dropkick. That misses. Ali with a neck breaker, only for a 2 count. Ali takes down Slater with a leg sweep. A big hodrana into the ring post. And then Ali with the 450 to pick up the win. So, definitely a really good little match. Can't recommend this one more, because this was a really, really good matchup. We then see Moose, and he's hunting for Matt Hardy backstage. Where's that going to lead to? Speaking of leading to, it's time for our main event, as it's Eddie Edwards taking on Joe Hendry. And before the match gets started, we have Brian Myers on the apron. Looks like he's going to be pulling something. Out comes both Ryan and Nick Nemeth to back up Joe Hendry. And this match was a really, really good one. I don't know how to explain it. Lots of really good back and forth between the two, obviously. But ultimately, match ends after a missed-whiffed Boston Knee Party into a standing ovation for Joe Hendry win. And as he's finishing up celebrating, we see Moose. He's in a little alcove area backstage. He's still looking for Matt Hardy. When off camera you hear, yes! The Broken Man has found Moose, and they brawl for a little bit. Moose throws Matt Hardy into a garage door, which looked like it was rough. Then Moose gets a chair, hits Matt Hardy a couple of times with a couple of chairs, then puts the chair around Matt Hardy's neck, takes another chair, hits Matt Hardy with it. Ooh. Will Matt Hardy be at an against all odds? I guess we'll see. Alright, that is it for this week in wrestling. I hope you all absolutely enjoyed. This was definitely a very interesting week for wrestling. And now it gets even a little bit more interesting, because at 6:30 tonight it's AEW Rampage. Then at 8 o'clock, it's WWE SmackDown. Probably be covering that Monday. Probably not going to be covering Collision tomorrow because I am watching the Rangers. It's Game 6. Fingers crossed they can get a win. So, yeah, that's it from me. I hope you all enjoyed. Till next time, happy wrestling, everybody. Peace.